before I get into the VP.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kind for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Where are all my peeps? Where are all my peeps? Welcome aboard. We have in the house Michael Rudden out of Brooklyn, New York. We also have in the house Michael. I can't read all of that, but it's great stuff, man. We also have Paul Fleming out of Powder Springs, Atlanta, or rather Powder Springs, Georgia. We also have in the house para ver, Alistair Waters out of Conroe, Texas, Bridge MCP out of Binghamton, New York, Joe out of Los Angeles, California, and Eric Hayes out of Atascocita, Kingwood. So we're represented all over the country. Anyway, folks, starting with Michael Rudden, who says the following: Egberto, one for the screen from Super Bowl halftime show. Symbolism of hands up, don't shoot against an American flag. During a patriotic game where one of their sports slogans is end hate. There's a call for preventing police violence against minorities, and I wanted to share it here. And if you ask, so shall you receive. And here is that beautiful pic, courtesy of the one and only Michael Rudden. There it is on the screen, Rudden. That is beautiful. In fact, that is the flag of Los Estados Unidos de America. The symbol of the United States flag. There was so much to Kendrick Lamar's performance There's a lot of analysis on it on the internet. I think all of you should go ahead and read some of them because it's actually very much worth the read. Bridge also has one that she wants placed on the screen. Let's go ahead and do that for you. Let me go ahead first and get Gradnin's one off, and then we'll put Bridge's piece on the screen. Let's get that there. Para ver, ¿dónde está? There we go. And here's the one from Bridge MCP. And that one says, he ordered them to stop making pennies. Seriously? We have the largest tuberculosis outbreak on record in Kansas, a measles outbreak in Texas, planes falling out of the sky, people recovering from wildfires and hurricanes, and he's thinking about pennies. Useless. Breach, there's a woman, I can't remember her name, and I'm sorry, I didn't like it. I should have liked it. But she's on screen saying, what the hell is wrong with the Democrats? You know, if we had Joe Biden talking about pennies, while there is a tuberculosis outbreak, while there's a measles outbreak, while there's a H1N1 bird flu outbreak, while planes are every day, it seems like there's a new plane event. There's a problem with safety right now. And I mean, if they're dumping crap in parks, okay? And what is so funny is you don't hear Democrats talking about this day in and day out. They should have charts. They should have every day on the program. Tuberculosis outbreak in Kansas. What is Trump doing about it? The CDC cannot tell you anything because there's a lockdown on the CDC. Planes are falling out of the sky. Donald Trump fired the safety guy out of the FCC. I mean the FAA. And we're talking about pennies. And we're talking about Doge cutting. And there's a scarier thing that's happening with Doge. It seems like you know why they wanted people's personal information? It seems like there's another process that Doge is going through. They're looking at federal government employees' net worth and comparing it to how much they make at the job site. And if their net worth is too much, they may actually open an investigation. So we're talking about using AI. I mean, I'm not sure. It seems like this is what's happening. This I'm saying so far, it's a bit speculative, but it's based on some of the words coming out of Elon Musk's mouth. It seems he's inferring, and I don't know for a fact, I just heard this in passing before I came on air. But it seems like what Elon Musk is doing is passing through government data on what people make and IRS data on how much, what their net worth is or what bankers are saying, putting that together and likely going to use that to throw out an investigation on government employee. Is that scary or not? Whatever happened to Republicans and privacy and when they believed in little government and all of that? Now, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. So, I just heard this on just as they were switching programs, and I think Elon Musk is giving a piece at the White House right now, and one of the reporters reported that he said something about high net worth federal employees. So I'll have more about this, but I told you guys about the dangers about it. There you go. Tom C says, what about bird flu? The next pandemic. And that's why eggs now cost not $5 a dozen, brother. It's more. It's more. I went to the store with my daughter and to a Latin American store, and guess what? There was a dozen eggs for $12. We looked at it and was like, no, I'm sorry. I think the dozen was $8 and the dozen and a half was $12, if I recall correctly. Yeah. And Ashley and I looked at it and it's like, what? That is crazy. That is crazy. Anyhow, let's go ahead and let me get to some of. Since our brother put so much in there, I need to read some of that. Newsweek. Alleged USAID probe into Starlink raises Elon Musk conflict concerns. USAID was investigating its relationship with Starlink just months before tech billionaire Elon Musk attempted to shut the agency down, according to reports. The freezes and cuts to the foreign aid department, spearheaded by Musk and head of the Department of Government Efficiency, raised question about conflict of interest. You see, there we go. Second one, CFPB rip make Musk and Trump's plans to shrink an agency that cracks down on medical debt and overdraft fees. I'm covering that one, so I'm not going to read that. The Guardian UK, medical debt reforms threatened by Trump's pause on new regulations. Treasury Secretary pause all work at Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We gotta make sure and keep that up because you couldn't put medical debt on people's credit report. Now that Donald Trump is in power, we have to be very careful what's happening now. Sad, sad day. Folks, just read all the stuff that Michael Rundin put up front, but I have so much to cover today, I can't get into all of these stories right now. Trump slowdown. Raw story from Michael Rundin. Critics hammer president for lackluster jobs report. Simon Rosenberg. New jobs report, one of the worst since COVID. Only 143,000 jobs created. So far, under Trump, GDP growth has slowed, job growth has slowed, inflation has risen, destructive tariffs loom, Fed did not cut interest, GOP economic plans will explode the deficit. Trump has been in office less than a month and we are already feeling the damage. This needs to be tracked for February 21st, by which time Trump will have been in office a full month to see just how much harm the clown show has done. And that is what Democrats are not doing, Michael Rudin, and that's what we're going to have to do. Because Democrats, our leadership are falling on their faces, not doing the job. He has already caused a lot of destruction. Paul Fleming says, just in, federal judge orders HHS, CDC, and FDA to restore by no later than 11:59 p.m. today their websites and data sets to pre-January 30th status. Thank you. Those lying bastards, which they are. Let's see what else have we got here. Michael Rudnin says, Paul, that one's from Reddit. Hup, why isn't it in the mainstream news? There you go. We tell you the mainstream news is holding back. They are holding back. All right, Bridge MCP says, Trump pushes plan to take Gaza and relocate Palestinians in meeting with Jordan's king. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You guys read that at Bridge. Let me give you the funny part about it. The king of Jordan sat there and you could see his discomfort as he never agreed with Trump, but he had to try to appease Trump because they all know what Trump is talking about is hogwash. Trump doesn't have the power to do the things he wants to do. It's hogwash. It is all a show for his people who don't have a lot of stairs. They don't understand world history. They forget Trump was president before. Nothing changed in Gaza. In fact, it got worse. Why are we to believe that a Trump second administration with less competent people are going to be able to effect some kind of a change? It's just being appeased, but we're getting ready for a terrible act. But what can I say, folks? What can I say? It is utterly ridiculous. It is utterly ridiculous. All right, let's continue here. Let's see what else we have. Lee the Bearcat is in the house. Welcome aboard, Lee the Bearcat. Lee says, Kendrick Lamar was good, did not even know who he was, and glad no scantily clad dressing and the red, white, and blue. Exactly. You just earned a lot of respect there, Bearcat. There was so much messaging in that one performance by Kendrick Lamar. Paul Fleming says a senior official at FEMA instructed subordinates to freeze funding for a wide array of grant programs hours after federal judge ordered the Trump admin for the second time to stop such pause. What they need to do is arrest that particular employee. While Donald Trump is immune, that employee is not, the judge should order his arrest immediately. All right. Bridge MCP, the White Death has never gone away. It's always been in the background as one of the leading causes of death throughout history. The White Death? I think you mean the bubonic plague, right? All right, let's continue. Joe says we are being waterboarded. I hear you, girl. Tom C says, and what about I read that one already. All right, let's continue. Yeah, me too. All right, $9 a dozen where Bridge is at. Wow. In 2024, South Africa emerged as China's largest African trading partner with a trade volume of $52.4 billion. Nigeria followed at $21 billion and Egypt at $17.3 billion. China also imported goods worth $21.9 billion from DR Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. That same year, for 15 consecutive years, China has been Africa's largest trading partner. Excellent. All right. I normally don't read crap, but I want to show you what racism and a lack of intelligence does. I'm sorry to say this, Mike, but your statement shows a lack of intelligence. Here it goes. I should put it this way: a willful lack of intelligence, because I think you're a smart person, but this was a willful lack of intelligence. Listen to Mike. Tuberculosis is a disease brought by foreigners of Central and Southern America. The outbreak is from Biden open border policies. That is a stupid statement. Since we've had tuberculosis in this town for a long time, it is just being spread. Let me tell you something better. Most, or I can't say most, many foreign countries, including third world countries, have vaccination rates much larger than the vaccination rates in America. Michael Rudnin, our resident historian, please look it up for me to show what countries have higher vaccination rates than America. And not to speak about our people who have allowed the right wing to kill them by not getting COVID vaccines and others. Look it up for me, please, Brother Rudnin. All right. Rudnin also says, Egberto, the only part of my skip comments I want you to read, just understand that the Nazis went after communists, socialists, unionists, LGBTQ, Jews, Romani, the disabled, and any political opposition. Trump and Elon Musk going after people with disabilities is on brand for them, while history rhymes. You named that, brother. You named that. Steigenbergen Creek says, I feel like I'm seeing the rise of the Third Reich, knowing the danger, seeing my neighbors buy into the new regime, and I am helpless to stop it. I am terrified. They will wake up before we turn into the Third Reich. But you are correct to see Donald Trump and Musk doing that, because Musk is a born racist. I shouldn't say born racist. You're not born a racist, but he's from South Africa, and he shares those same South African Afrikaner beliefs. Okay, remember that. Okay, White Death, consumption are different names for tuberculosis. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was also called the White Death. I just learned something. Thank you, Radnin. What else have we got here? Let's see. Bree says, I don't want you to read, but it wasn't by me, Egberto Willies. Okay. Let's see what else we say here. Lee the Bearcat says, why not just eat egg whites or beaters? They taste better, less fat. Yeah, but they come from the egg as well. Well, egg beaters don't, but the egg whites are, I think, can be contaminated as well. I didn't read that. You guys can fact check me on that one. Let's see what else we have here. Para ver, let's see. Para ver, Joe, it's any person night. Okay. All right, it's time for our video, guys. And this is an important video I want you to listen to and watch on AI. And I also want you to share this. This is very, very, very important. And it's one that I did this morning. I cleaned it up to reduce it by about 20% or a little bit more. Here we go. Before I get into the VP, I remember going to a conference in New York. It was a whole bunch of us in different areas of activism getting together, people from all sides of the spectrum, both on the left, on the right, in the middle, everywhere we came together, urban, rural, all of that. And we are sitting down at a retreat in upstate New York, this beautiful forest retreat.
and we're sitting down talking about why we do what we do, right? And I got up when it was my time and I said, one of the reasons I dedicated my life to this is because I wanted to empower folks to take their lives over and realize who they really are to the time. The guy got up and he stopped me and he said, you don't have the power to do what's already there. In other words, all of us in America really are already empowered. All those of us who dedicate our lives to activism can do is remind you, enlighten you, allow you to see within yourselves that you are an empowered person, someone who already has the power to make change. The other thing you have is the power to do. If you do nothing, you have to take whatever is given. If you realize you're already empowered and use your power, you can actually do things. When Jack talks about who is government going to serve, government is we the people. An empowered people, government serves. Right now, our government is, as Jack and Howard mentioned, is serving the corporations. It is behaving like a business. And that ain't right because, again, we are the ones with the power. I wanted to talk about what the media is really missing. You know, we're constantly hearing about DEI and we sit and, you know, I write about it as well. We fight among each other about DEI. Is that person getting a benefit because of diversity, equity, and inclusion because of DEI? And we sit down and we fight about these things, right? And we sit down and we fight about textbooks and what should be taught. And we fight about all these things that are superficial when you really take a look at it. While when Donald Trump was elected, if you looked at who was sitting behind him, was all these billionaires of high-tech companies. But we were busy talking about other stuff. You know, we are busy fighting each other. You know, we have some callers call in here and they want my neck. They want Jack's neck, Howard's neck. You know, what are we saying? Well, look, we have to see the big picture and realize what's going on. J.D. Vance went across the ocean to an AI convention and he goes out there and he says, we, America, intend to be the leaders in AI. That's fine. Everybody, I can imagine every country should get up and say, we want to be the leader in AI. I mean, you all have your motivations. Go off and say whatever you want to say. But then he comes out and he says, he threatens countries around the world. He says, we believe, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, we believe regulation is bad and you countries better not attempt to regulate AI. And on the surface, that sounds like just an economic threat or something that really doesn't matter, or just something that he's spewing. But if you take a look at what Donald Trump and his minions are doing right now, it is to play bully around the world, to force the people around the world to have a certain set of behaviors. I'm getting there. I want to get there. But I first want to remind everybody, you are empowered, you are already powerful, and you can change what's going to happen because this is deeper than anyone understands based on what the media is putting out right now. So he doesn't want regulations, and they're almost tempting the world, or not daring the world, to put regulations on else. In other words, they want to force the world not to put regulations onto AI. All right. And then today I'm listening to Morning Joe, and one of the hosts rightfully said, you know, what is he talking about? Not regulating AI. It's kind of crazy. And then Richard Haas, one of our more than a diplomat out there, yes, he's a neoliberal, but I can normally agree with some of what he says because it's sensible. But he comes out and says, yeah, AI is too vast to regulate and it changes so fast. We don't need to have regulations on it, etc. And I'm like, oh, my God, they've got to him, too. Don't regulate AI? Are you nuts? Are you crazy? We have Musk and a whole bunch of little kids who have, quote unquote, read access to all the data in the IRS, all the data in USAID, all the data in all the agencies, all the data, quote unquote, read access, and they can absorb it into their system. And they're cutting here and there. And purportedly, they're putting this data through AI to go ahead and determine some of the things they're going to do. But let me digress a bit. There's nothing magical about AI. Look, I use AI, I produce my videos in real time. A lot of the videos that I play, I produce them in real time. I turn them into a transcript of the words that I put out there. I filter it through AI so that AI can go ahead and start prosing and doing certain things for me. In other words, I'm research. If I have certain links I want to get these things and get them quickly, acquire it quickly. So I do a whole lot of that. It is helpful. It's like having a researcher sitting down next to what you want to put on there. But let me explain something. That technology belongs to all of you out there. Have you ever posted something to Facebook? Have you ever written a tweet? Have you ever answered a question on Facebook? A friend of yours had an issue that they didn't understand, but you do, and you gave them an answer. And I can look up that message chain that you did and see those answers. All of you that are listening to my voice right now are funders of AI. Your knowledge base or your knowledge base. In other words, what you know, what you don't know, what you made an error in talking about, all of that creates an online body of not only who you is, but who America is, who the world is. So all that data is out there. And what AI does, these algorithms do, is they take a data set, and because a supercomputer can work much faster than the milliseconds that electronics work in your brain, it can come up with an answer faster. So if I need to research something, I can go ahead and go to link number 1, read the document that gives me some other links number 2, and research. And that research may take me an entire day. With AI, I can research something I want to talk about in an hour. But why am I able to do that? Because I can quickly get to all the people who over the decades, over the millennia, has placed all that information into the ethos space. Google is digitizing just about every book ever written, and all of that is online. And now we can search all this stuff online. We can give them degrees of certainty, degrees of reliability, degrees of authority, so that we can plausibly say this answer is better than that answer. Just like I would do when I'm pulling documents down. If I see a document comes from a right-wing site, I know that it's likely incorrect. If I see a document that comes from a left-wing site, I might know it has a certain kind of a bias. But all of that is all of our knowledge. Now, there are a lot of implications with that. And I'm going to get back to JD Vance and regulations in a minute, and the super boys, okay? All of that is basic knowledge that all of you put out there. So you are an integral part of the knowledge base that AI uses. But what AI does, as an activist, I write a lot of articles that I want to put in the ethos so that other people can read, and we can also educate ourselves and learn about economics, learn about how capitalism works, how democratic socialism works, how all these things work. I want people to understand these concepts, and I research it. I can do a whole lot more research and put out a whole lot more stuff because of AI. What that means, however, is that whereas as my activism grow, I may have hired 3 or 4 people that are doing research and finding out laws that are being passed, etc. I no longer need to hire 3 or 4 researchers. Why? Because I have AI to do the research, right? And I am paying ChatGPT, and I may purchase another one as well, but I'm paying ChatGPT, I don't know, $30, $40 a month or so. That gives me access to the chat box to do research. But I'm not paying somebody the let's say 40 person hours at a minimum of $20 an hour to do that work. So as you can see, the scales are huge, and it means that there are 4 people that normally would have had jobs that will not have jobs. And you're telling me you don't want regulations on AI. We need regulations on AI for things like the following. Those techno bros who paid people to create the algorithms that searches a database of all our combined data, they pay those guys one time, and then as those algorithms work and work and work to answer the queries I make and other researchers make, they just repeat the stuff, repeat and go, repeat and go. Normally, we would have human beings doing that work. Now, why do we need regulations? Well, we need to take into account that knowledge came from all of us. And as such, those people that would have had work that don't have work, and when I say those people, I'm talking about everybody, right? We need to change an economic system that takes that into account. Meaning, now that we have this technology, there are several things that we should regulate. Likely work hours should drop by a bunch. Also, the increase in people's salary should go up by a bunch. Also, we should start looking into things like basic income. People may say, well, how are we going to give basic income? Are you talking about giving money to people that are not working or that don't work? No, people are working. All this technology that we have out there, all of you form a part of that technology that was created. You are the raw material. So if Elon Musk and AI and all the open AI guys out there, when they're mining data, you mine for gold, you mine for carbon, you mine for diamonds, you mine for all these things, all of that thing that they are mining is you. So when somebody says, I don't agree with basic income, they're pretty much saying, I don't agree with taking your knowledge and paying for it. Because as a society, we are the body of knowledge. What they are trying to do, what J.D. Vance is trying to tell the rest of the world, is what capitalism has done all of the times. Abstract the pain, and a few live very, very well. Folks, understand, if what I'm saying isn't very well understood, I beg you to call in and ask specifics, because this is deeper than most of us will ever understand, or well, we will understand, but most of us realize where they're going with it. The idea is this new technology is coming out. It's going to make a lot of people obsolete because we don't need a lot of people anymore. And what that means is the persons or people or countries that control this technology, they can go ahead and do as they please. They are monarchs, and everybody becomes the enslaved like we are becoming right now. And my thing is that we must have regulations. We must have regulations that put the humanity and realize that it is us who are responsible for AI. Even the designers, even the programmers, their knowledge came from our tax dollars that have invested in the institution of learning that have allowed them to attain what they're attaining. Bottom line, we have to wake up. Yes, we must be woke. The reason why they are going against wokeism, because again, all wokeism means is that you are woke. They won't pull something over your head. You are awake and you know what's going on. You are educated. They want to keep you dumb. They want to keep you asleep. You need to be woke. Is wokeism good? Wokeism is not only good, wokeism is essential. Especially in these times. Especially in these times, we have got to be awake. And being awake means you are what? Woke. Anyway, Scott Fulis, it's great seeing you here, my brother. Scott is my OR brother here in the Houston vicinity, the Houston metropolitan area. Like he says, reducing the work week is absolutely critical to making sure that we benefit from AI. If we don't do that, then all the benefits will go to the corporations. You nailed it.
Secondly, Tom Zarnick points out that, by the way, guys, liquid eggs are more expensive than the for the volume per eggs, more expensive than the real thing. Thank you for telling us that, my brother. Paul Fleming points out that a federal judge administration told them to stop certain public health web pages and data sets that federal health had to be wiped from the internet in recent days. A new temporary restraining order from Judge John Bates came in legal challenges brought by a doctors group that said the removal of the information was impeding the ability to care for their patients. These guys are criminals. Criminals. Maywood from Long Beach, California, is in the house with us. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for being here. Paul Fleming says, when they call resistance hate, Denzel reminds us who's really afraid of who. The sheep isn't violent for refusing to be dinner. His 1992 response after filming Malcolm X. Good point, good point, good point. All right, what else have we got here? What else have we got here? From Rodney, generative AI plus automation is going to replace half of all jobs within the next 5 years. If we don't find some way to regulate AI, we are going to see the modern age robber barons become trillionaires while the vast swath of humanity becomes unemployable and languish in poverty. Our society is completely unready for what's coming, and nobody is talking about universal basic dividends, which is a potential solution to prevent the worst. UBI is what it's all about, right? And that is a breakdown of the dividends, etc. Again, what we have to assert first, Michael Rudden, and this is what I try to do with a lot of what I write. Every American citizen has to start asserting their worth. Your worth isn't just a job that you do. Your worth is you making choices and buying. Your worth is being a consumer. When you consume, you create economic activity. You are an integral part of everybody that is a part of our basic economy. And it is essential that we understand that we are a part of the cogs, and without it, we cannot, as a society, exist. All of us play our roles, and every single role is essential. And because it is essential, you have worth. And again, when you finally internalize that you are worthy, then you can feel the demand to say, AI, great thing. Robotics, great thing. But the spoils of AI, the spoils of robotics must come to all of us in the form of universal basic income, in the form of a shorter work week, in the form of longer vacations. AI and robotics should give us real family values. You know, you have one aisle likes to talk about family values. Well, this is going to give us family values. You know, the other side, meaning the Democrats, like to talk about social responsibility and social safety net. Well, regulating AI and regulating how you can manage and make from this will make that a reality. But you know what? We don't have to wait for them. We have to elect people who understand these concepts. We have to demand it. And when they talk about stifling innovation, you can't stifle AI innovation. The people who are creating this stuff are not the people that become trillionaires and billionaires. What happens is the billionaires, the capitalists invest in people who design this stuff. And after they design it, c'est la vie. We get rid of all the workers, etc. If we create regulations and rules, and the capitalists try to talk about lack of innovation or that they are going to pull their monies out, say, do it, my friend, do it. And let we, the people, continue the investment in generating the next generation. We should never be a slave to the corporatists. We should never continue to be antiseptic slaves to the corporatocracy, because that's what we are right now. That's why we beg for vacation. Even in France, they get better vacation than us, better health care. We beg for health care. We don't need to beg for this stuff. We need to tell them, hey, Texas legislature, If this session you don't pass the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act as we move towards Medicare for all or health care to all, for whatever you want to call it, you're out of there. And Democrats, you need to leave the corporate folks that are tying your hands and go out to the rural areas and earn those people's votes. Every time a hospital closes, you should be out there. You should be in the papers. You should be there, flesh and blood. Every time a farm fails, you should be out there. You should show what it is that you are going to be doing out there. You need to be there. You need to show those MAGA folks that these other guys are criminals. That's your job. I don't want to hear about, oh, these people are racist. I don't want to hear these people are dumb. What I want to hear is that you did what was necessary, not to send them a commercial, not to send them a postcard. I want to see you go into a church with them. I want to see you go have lunch with them. I want to see you go have dinner with them. You know who have done it? I've done it. Look, the only reason I hadn't gone with some of these white nationalists is because my wife told me I was crazy and she won't let me. Okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is we ceded too much. We ceded too much to these guys in order for their minds to be framed by those other guys. And those other guys have polluted their minds. The only reason Mike Cisak can think the way he is, racist or not, is because he got his mind polluted by a sect. Same with Hayes. Okay? Let's get our heads straight. Get our heads straight. And those of us, listen to this, the little talk that I gave to my Kingwood area Democrats when you get a chance, folks. Please do. All right, what else have we got here? Forgive the Scott Fuller says, sadly, the general public doesn't understand how regulations is supposed to work. They just write it off as something that hampers market because that's all they've heard for years. And that is what, Scott, that is what I'm talking about. We should be out there. Democrats should be out there teaching this stuff and tying it to their lives. Not just telling them the truth, but showing them how Look, West Texas right now, all that fracking fluid is starting to, they put it 50 miles away, and that fracking fluid is starting to pop up and bubble up in West Texas, killing cows. You don't hear, the Chronicle took that story for a week or so, and then it disappeared. But the radiated water, the polluted water is still polluting those areas. And it's not in the news. It should be in the news every day. We should have Democrats driving on those ranches with cameras and with the owner there and say, and bringing the rancher out and say, Rancher John, I want to pass this legislation in the Austin legislature right now, and your congressperson right now won't allow us to get this through. Where is that kind of propaganda? You know who does it well? The Republicans. That's how they got back 7 of the judges here. I was at the Humble area Democrats last night, and we had a wonderful judge come out, and this wonderful judge couldn't say much because she's a judge. But I had to get a little bit upset when they were talking about why is it that we lost these judges. Well, the judges can't speak. We ceded the airwaves to Republicans who go out there and lie about the judges releasing people when the judges are following the laws written by the legislature in Austin, who's controlled by whom? The Republicans. So the judges are executing the laws created by Republicans, and they're paying the price for executing those laws. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. All right. Let's see what else we got. Paul Fleming says in Chicago, hundreds of immigrants are skipping health appointments and leaving prescriptions at pharmacy because the Trump administration immigration crackdown. Exactly. This is what a lot of progressives have been telling to those people who love to arrest people. for immigration status. Tuberculosis doesn't know doesn't care if you're an immigrant or not. If you got tuberculosis, it's going to get you. And if you think you're going to get arrested when you're going to get your TB shot, you're not going to go. Again, Scott Hewlett says, to be fair, productivity has always been uncoupled from wages. Think slavery. A lot of this is just an effort to get back to free labor. You nailed it, Scott. You nailed it. Let's see what else. Bree says, wow, not surprised. Trump FBI picked Kash Patel, accused of directing staff purge while still a nominee. Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat of Illinois, accused Kash Patel, President Donald Trump's nominee, to lead the FBI, of personally directing an alleged ongoing purge of civil servants at the agency. Durbin urged Department of Justice Inspector General Michael Horowitz to investigate. If these allegations are true, Durbin wrote in a letter to Horowitz, Patel may have perjured himself at his recent state confirmations hearing. There you go. All right. Continuing. Let's see. Paul Fleming says, I'll do the CFPB. I have a piece on that coming up in a minute. Lita Bearcat says, how can universal basic income even help? Universal basic income says in the base that everybody is entitled to a basic level of income for survivability. Okay? And for those people who say, well, if you give universal basic income, and by the way, you get universal basic income whether you are wealthy or whether you're poor. Okay? That's how it works. Or what? That's how some of them work. And for those of you who believe in science, there are many studies that have been done to see if people who get universal basic income, if what they do is sit on their butt, watch TV, and do nothing. That's not what generally happens. It usually gives them a cushion so that they can actually go get a job that pays them not only a living wage, but a respectable wage with an honorable job. And what it also does is increases wages by saying, you know what? I am not going to work as a garbage collector if you're going to give me minimum wage when I'm putting myself at risk with all these different pollutants. I won't do that. Okay? That's what it's all about. Scott Fuller said, no, Mike, wokeism is simply what it says, being awake. You're absolutely right. All right, guys, I got one more thing I got to put out here. So I'm not going to, you guys can read all the other great things that are there in the chat. Wow, you guys have some beautiful chat, but I need to do this one piece here, and it's going to go like this. I hope my screen area and everything is working correctly. And it goes like this, guys. It goes like this. The CFPB was created was it under Obama? I believe that it was created. And it has saved Americans $21 billion, getting back to bankers who screw you with both mortgages, etc. It ensures that your medical debt does not affect your credit history, because we also know the medical debt is a big issue right now. Well, they're trying to stop it, and lucky for us, we still have a fighter in the Senate that is making everybody aware of what they are doing to the CFPB. So without further ado, I want you to listen. No one can explain it as well as our one and only Elizabeth Warren. So here we got.
You have a bank account or a credit card or a mortgage or a student loan, this is code red. I am ringing the alarm bell. Elon Musk and the guy who wrote Project 2025, Russ Vought, are trying to kill the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. If they succeed, CEOs and Wall Street will once again be free to trick, trap, and cheat you. The CFPB is the little agency working to shut down scams and fraud on payment apps like Zelle and PayPal and Cash App. It's the agency that steps in when the big bank trips up and repossesses your car. It's the agency that's working to cut those crazy fees that banks and credit card companies bury down in the fine print, and then you got to pay for them. Already, this little agency has forced giant banks and corporations to give back more than $21 billion directly to families they cheated. And that includes hundreds of millions of dollars back for veterans who got cheated by predatory lenders. So why are these two guys trying to gut the CFPB? Not rocket science. Trump campaigned on helping working people, but now that he's in charge, this is the payoff to the rich guys who invested in his campaign and who want to cheat families and not have anybody around to stop them. Yeah, it's another scam. After the 2008 financial crash and the big bank bailout, Congress created the CFPB to protect people from getting swindled. For years, Republicans have tried and tried again to repeal it in Congress, and they have failed every single time. Congress built the CFPB, and no one other than Congress, not the president, not Musk, not vote, can shut it down. There is power in fighting back. Power. We will not let up in Congress or the courts until we win this fight. So please, call your representative and most of all, get the word out. We are here to fight for the little agency that fights for us. If you have a bank account or a credit card or a mortgage.
So yes, folks, we have to fight, and we have to remember that we will fight for this. Oh, let me turn this baby off now. Okay. So as Senator Elizabeth Warren has pointed out succinctly, they are going after everything that protects the consumer, everything that protects the average middle class and poor American citizen. And you know why they have to do that? Because remember what we've said, you're indentured servants, you're antiseptic slaves, and that you are their source of revenue. That's your only purpose for these capitalists. You are their source of revenue, and they need to find all kinds of ways to extract your wealth. You know, even with your home, you remember there was a time when your home was something you left for your families, right? And then your families later on because they've inherited your homes, they got to start. And the next generation inherited more and more and more as generations pass, right? That is how the GI Bill helped a whole lot of people move into the middle class, right? Well, even that, they found instruments to take it away from you. You know that magical thing called a reverse mortgage? It's just another way to say, as we are ripping you off and leaving you with less money, well, you have a whole bunch of money invested in that home. We don't have to try to find structures for you to make more money. We just let you deplete the assets that you've accumulated. Your home. When I tell you that the financial structures that we have in America are designed, the financial instruments are designed to use all of the middle class and the poor as sources of income. Even the tax cuts that we're looking at right now that the Republicans are coming up with is to ensure that you pay it all. Even the tariffs that we're talking about, it's you who pay the tariffs. So when the Treasury gets a whole lot of money from tariffs, it's just a tax on you. It's a sales tax on you. So as you go to Walmart and buy your cheap Chinese goods, as you pump the oil in your car, that some of it is coming from Canada and Mexico, you are paying that extra price to fill up the coffers of the United States Treasury, which immediately gets transferred to the wealthy with a tax cut, and the deficits generated by that tax cut will be held in Treasury bonds that those rich people are going to buy with the tax cuts you gave them. So look at how many ways they're going to be making money on your back. They're going to make money from the tax cut that was paid for by you with tariffs and other recessive taxes. They're going to make money by the interest you are going to pay them after they loaned the United States government the monies that you gave them with that tax cut. They're going to loan it right back to the United States government, and they're going to make a guaranteed income from the interest they make on that. Then, of course, because they get tax cuts and they drop the rates for the corporations, those stock prices are going to appreciate. So they get some more money from the stock prices appreciation from your tax policies. I mean, it is just a matter for these guys to constantly extract and extract from us all. And we have those poor people, those people that don't have a pot to you know what in, continue to support these guys that continues to make them poorer. It's a shame. It's a racket. These people should be ashamed of themselves. Not only the politicians should be ashamed of themselves, but those people who remain willfully ignorant to allow them to continue to do this should be very, very ashamed of themselves. But anyway, folks, we're coming close to the end of the program. Let's see. I think E2247, welcome aboard. Let's see what he says here. E224, also pay attention to Senate of New York versus Donald J. Trump. Docket 1-25-CV-01144 in the SDNY. All right, what else we got here? It's almost comical how backward the red hats are. Get it straight. The CFPB are financial cops who prevent corporate fraud against their customers. It's amazing. Joe says, I got a French toast at a diner and they did not prove maple syrup. No Canadian maple syrup. I tripped out, man. I did, but my eyes crossed. That is funny. No syrup with French toast. That is funny. That is funny. Anyway, folks, we got to get out of here. But before we get out of here, want to ask you guys to please support the program. How can you support the program? You can support the program by contributing to our... There are many ways. You can become a patron, right? And how do you become a patron? You can go to politicsdoneright.com/patron. You have many options to become a patron. Please consider becoming a patron. politicsdoneright.com/patron. One of the ways that I hope many of you will do it is become what we call our paid subscribers to our newsletter. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter for that. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter for that, or you can go to egberto.substack.com to do that as well. But the preferred manner, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, gets you right to the place where you can become paid subscribers. And those of you who become paid subscribers, there are a lot of benefits for you, my dear brothers and sisters. And what kind of benefits are we talking about? We're talking about the ability to read all of my books, and let me put that on the screen right now. You can get oh wow, I forgot that we go live on the screen as well. But here we go. You can if you go to our notes, you see my books. All those books are listed there for you to read. Again, free of charge, as well as you can get to all our podcasts that we've cleaned up as well, for you to see, and there are the list of the podcasts right there. So please become paid subscribers. It makes sure that we can continue to get the job done. We simply cannot do this without you. And how can you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All right. Anything else before I leave? Anybody has anything that they want to mention before I leave? Just drop it in the chat in the next 30 seconds. And I'll read it for you. Thank you, guys. Hey, I don't know if I saluted Tom Zarnick. Welcome aboard, Tom Zarnick. Great to have you here. What else have we got here? Anyhow, I think Joe says, and now the Chinese restaurants stop giving fortune cookies. Really? That is so funny. That is so funny. All right, folks, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I get out of here. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is politics done right.